This episode of KrawlZone is brought to you by BDS Suspension, BF Goodrich Tires, Nitro Gear and Axle, and TMR Customs. Hey guys, welcome to an all-new episode of KrawlZone. This time from the Hammers, you're going to see me and Vic, KrawlTek Racing, in the Everyman Challenge. Thank you for joining us here at the Hammertown. You're going to see a little bit, not only of us, but we're going to see a build from Highmaster Metalworks, plus Mr. KrawlZone and his antics all over Hammertown, and that starts right here. But wait, before you go, and while I've got your attention, I'd like to invite you to go check out KrawlZone.tv. That's our website. We're going to have news, information, and entertainment from across the off-road world. Check it out here. Stay tuned. This is KrawlZone. Brian said that he just got off the phone with Victor Bunnis of KrawlTek Racing and said that there was a seat for me in his rig for the Everyman Challenge. I'm really not sure how I felt. It was kind of a shock moment. I really had never considered racing. Every time we film the stuff, I'm thinking, oh, that might be cool to be out there doing that stuff. But the thought had never really occurred to me that that could happen. So there was a moment of disbelief, I guess. But then as it sank in, I just got this chill of excitement of like, how cool would that be to not only be racing, but out here at the Hammers, to be in the Everyman Challenge, to tackle one of the hardest courses possibly in the world.
Me and John have been racing since 2011 with the rock crawling series, then the dirt riot series, and then just twice here at the Hammers. When we was in Colorado, we hit a bump a little too hard and decided that was probably not so good for him. And so we switched John out of the car and got a new co-pilot, Nathan Riddle.
Brian called me. First thing I think of is what a cool video this is gonna make if I'm racing in Hammers. Then the realization hits, I've never raced. I don't know how to do this. I've seen it, I've filmed it, I've been there at a lot of great events, but I've never raced. And so then a little bit of the nerves started setting in, but I'm like, I've got months. I'll figure it out.
Nitro Gear and Axle offers one of the nation's widest variety of top quality differential and axle parts for nearly all makes and models, including a huge list of industry exclusive Toyota applications. Nitro's state-of-the-art machining and heat-treated processes produce stronger, longer lasting, and easier to install parts. From competitive rock crawlers to daily drivers, Nitro Gear and Axle offers the best quality and widest range of products for your axles.
We started with a 95 Grand Cherokee because there are coil springs in the rear. Pretty easy to go faster in the desert because it's not leaf springs. And then during 2013, we built it so we could race at the Everyman Challenge. We had to build a new cage in it, lighten it up quite a bit. For this year, we put a new fuel cell in, moved all the fuel system to the rear. We put in the batteries in the back to help weight the back instead of the front. And then we've also replaced a wheel because we bent one wheel. We replaced all the transmission lines, transmission coolers. Seems to handle the desert really good, but just a little bit too big in the rocks.
Now, in preparation for this event, I wouldn't have been prepared at all without my buddy John. He's part of the KrawlTek team. They've been doing this forever. And of course, part of the core team of KrawlZone.
I've known Nathan since we were in 5th grade together when I moved to Kanab, Utah, and we've been friends ever since. About the same time that Victor and I decided to start racing, Nathan, myself, and his brother Brian, who does all of our editing and does a lot of our camera work, kind of got together and decided we wanted to form KrawlZone.
We were at the Hump and Bump, and John got me in the seat with the Cherokee and took us on a couple of trails, let me drive, let me feel how the Cherokee moved, what it could do, what it couldn't do. I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm crying, dude.
I can't roll this, Nick will be so mad.
Vic had done an amazing job of getting the rig ready so that the days before while we were out here, other than just little minor tuning, everything was ready to go. So there wasn't the stress of, oh, it's broke, we gotta fix it. It was all there. It was calm. Vic's calm anyway, that dude's awesome. And he just brought this really chill feeling about the whole thing. So I really wasn't nervous. The Monday before the race, we were able to go out. I was able to sit in the seat. I figured out how to run the navigation equipment. We talked about different courses, different tracks, how the vehicle was running, and the things that would become challenges that we need to work through.
We kind of discussed as a group that the challenge was to actually complete the race and to not beat the vehicle up too much, to try to get through everything with everything being intact.
Things were working good, hammering down, and then it was race day. We'd like to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors who have made this episode possible.
At our Rubicon level, we've got Nitro Gear and Axle, TMR Customs, BF Goodrich Tires, and BDS Suspension. At our Hell's Revenge level, we got Fat Bob's Garage and TNT Customs.
Check them out right here.
Use it, abuse it, we dare you to break it. BDS suspension lifts are engineered to outperform on and off-road. Short arm, long arm, IFS, and coilover options. With Factory Protection Plus on all kits. See more at bds-suspension.com.
Here with KrawlTek Racing, we're going to be installing our brand new flat link E for the race rig. Going out here tomorrow racing the EMC class. The cool thing about this product is you only need one single shackle to be able to be used. It allows you to utilize closed system winching. One of the cool things here is then once you have your standard 3/4 screw pin shackle, and you can utilize it either with the shackle pin in this position, or you can use it and pass the body of the shackle through and use one single shackle for your winch line pull. Installed, ready to go.
While we were walking around Hammertown, we came across a sweet Willys build by Travis Highmaster from Highmaster Metalworks. He's going to give us the inside scoop. This is a test of the emergency KrawlZone system. If this had been an actual emergency, we'd have been out wheeling.
All right, me and Brian are trucking around Hammertown in the golf cart. We'll check back later with you. All right, so I'm working out, getting ready for Thursday's race. What is this anyway? Oh, it's TMR's new high steer arm. It's a weight. Sucker's huge. Look at that. I'm gonna do the underarm now. This one's got to get too big. What is this, like 20 pounds? Sucker's huge. Dude, how heavy is this? Heavy. Dude, I just did like 20 curls, my arm's gonna fall off. It's gonna be in an episode, just so you know.
We're wandering the streets of Hammertown and came across this sweet little Willys build. Let's go see if Travis will tell us a little bit about it.
Hi, I'm Travis Highmaster. I'm here with Highmaster Metalworks. This is 1946 Willys that we built. What's left of the 1946 Willys is actually the cowl, the original cowl, and part of the firewall, and then of course the grill, the famous Willys Jeep grill is still original. I went with a 60 free link in the front and 14 bolt 4 link in the rear. I was lucky enough to find somebody who already had a truck that they pulled off military axles from, and so the rear already had the Detroit locker in it, and the 60 was open. So I ended up welding the 60 up. For a while I ran it that way, and when I could afford it, we ended up putting the Detroit up front. I run slugs because I had problems with breaking the hubs. So I just run some $200 slugs and they work great. I really liked watching the Alaska off-roaders, and I wanted a big bumper, kind of something unique. So that's why we built this bumper. It's fun. I smash into stuff with it. I love having a big front bumper. Moving around, we just went with the standard 3-link, nothing special. All the suspension was fabricated in our shop. We use Curry Johnny joints that really helps soak up the little bumps, rod ends for steering. We did recently upgrade to the Fox bump stops. I love having those bump stops, and the Fox 2.5s. These things, they just work great for me. So these tires right here, these have been with me for 5 years. I have not had a problem with these tires. I try and do the extreme trails. I try and beat this thing around as much rocks as I can, and these tires have held up really well. Of course, I go with the Raceline wheels. They're a great product. This hood, my brother made this hood. Pretty special to me. It's not perfect. It needs some work. You know, we went with the fenders and built into the hood, and they flare up a little bit, but this hood is real special to me. We did incorporate a cowl with it because the motor that we put in here is a 383 stroker. We moved it up a little bit higher to get the clearance of the drivetrain and the front axle, so it needed a little bit more room for the air filter setup. So on the 383 stroker motor, we run a MSD atomic fuel injection system. It's the throttle body type injection. Has worked really well. I ran some other ones in the past, but this one has not given me any problems. Once I started the vehicle, started running it, I set a couple parameters, and I was off down the road having fun playing in the rocks. I just run a SM 465 transmission. It's bulletproof. It's out of a 1-ton truck, and it keeps the drivetrain very short. It has the Dana 300 with the twin stick option. I run approximately at the flywheel probably 450 horsepower, and I have not had a problem with this Dana 300. It really does serve me well. I love the twin stick, so I can steer the front end around on the trail in the rock sections, and then pop the rear back in to get that drive to go up and over the rocks, the position that I want to go in. This side right here is a 4x8 sheet. We just cut it off the plasma and then rolled it to fit, and so it goes all the way to the end of the vehicle. And we were able to just have a really clean body panel out of 1/8" mild steel. So if I bash into rocks, I don't have to worry about it denting in or damaging the vehicle at all. This rock slider right here was a little bit overkill, but I didn't want to dent it or beat it up. This right here is 250 wall DOM. So we were able to bend it at the shop. It was kind of scary bending it on the bender. It didn't like it too much, but we did it. And then of course we got the Highmaster Metalworks cut into the rocker slider, and we did it all in-house. And we get towards the back, and we have a bench seat back here that fits perfectly with the 4-link, and of course the car seats. The car seats were number one. The reason I got to build all this is so that they fit. That about does it. Thanks for the interest. Thanks for watching this old 1946 Willys. It's a fun project. It's a great build, and I love driving it around. Thank you, guys.
We're here at the lineup for the Everyman Challenge. We're in the stock class. We're here at the end. We signed up late, so we're going to be one of the last Jeeps off the line, but that's all right. We're only here to finish the race. We're not worried about winning it. We just want to cross that finish line. So we've done some last-minute checkovers on the Jeep. John and Vic have gone over every little thing that could be done, and we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to be standing here in the cold for about an hour. After that, it's off the starting line and onto the race.
Here at the Everyman Challenge 4600 race, we're going to be starting last and hopefully finish in the middle or a little sooner than the middle.
My first race. I don't know how it's going to go down, so.
Yeah. Well, you got to go a little easier than you might think. You can't go full on the whole way because there's a lot of sections where the whoops are smooth and you get a rhythm, and then all of a sudden there's 4 deeper ones.
And it just throws you for a loop, right?
Beat you. So just, you know, look out a little farther ahead of you. You're going from as wide open as you can get to 25 miles an hour to as wide open as you can get, and it happens, transitions a bunch of times. So just look out for that and watch your ass.
I appreciate that.
Don't break that shit.
I know, right?
When you pull up to the start line and you realize you're really going to take off in this race and go, I think the adrenaline starts going. You start thinking, okay, I got to be careful with the gas pedal because I'm going to tear the car apart. And you're just trying to keep calm enough to where you don't drive it to destroy the car.
We are the underdog team. We are position 19 out of 20, so we're in the back of the line. We get there, we get hunkered up, there's excitement, there's chill in the air, and we're idling down the thing, we're getting ready, and then Vic looks over and he says, "Do you have your crotch strap on?" And I'm like, "You got one of those?" I'm like, "No," and John's like, "You don't?" And I'm like, "No, don't worry about it." He's like, "No, no, no," and he comes over. John busts open the door. We're like 2 cars away from the starting line, getting ready to take off. And John unhooks everything and hooks me up right and looks at my helmet and says, "That's a mess," and makes sure everything's ready and buckles me back up just in time for us to roll out through the start line. So after taking off, we're along the race course and I'm watching the little pink line and making sure that the little triangle stayed in the right place. And we were off through the desert and we got that bugger up to 85 miles an hour or something and just across the desert. Got some rocks and I'm looking for whoops and we're kind of pounding along. And I was surprised how many vehicles we saw already broken down within the first 10, 20 miles. There was vehicles off the side of the road. So that was pretty exciting, to passing through everybody right away.
They went through pit 1 without anything. That's out on the course. So we went over to the start pit and we waited for quite a while. We finally heard Mr. KrawlZone, Nathan, come across the radio, telling us where they were. We got pretty excited, had everything ready, fuel sitting out, tarps to keep any kind of fuels or damage from the land out.
Been really smooth. Found a little bit of an air leak in the airlock line, but otherwise everything's been smooth, easy ride. A little bouncy, but that's what I expect. Anyway, we're set to take off here. So,
as I was putting the hood back on, the car died, and trying to figure out what was going on. They tried to restart it, and I told them, "I'm pretty sure you're out of fuel."
Cherokee was using a lot more fuel than we anticipated, so we hurried and put enough fuel in there to get us to pit 2A, and off we went.
They actually beat us to pit 2A, the remote pit. And so we were really, as a group, we were really pretty excited about that. They beat us probably by about 4 or 5 minutes. We need to get some fuel on the vehicle because we ran out of fuel at the last pit. So we grabbed extra fuel back at camp, brought it out. Their locker line was leaking before. It's not leaking, but we gave them extra air line for their locker, for the ARB on the front. They took that with them, checked the tranny's not leaking anymore. I believe it was just some overflow coming out from being overfilled. So we're looking good and they're back on the trail.
When we got into the first section of rocks, the vehicle was still working really good. We got into this next section of rocks and we noticed the steering was starting to be a little bit weird. So we got out and started looking at it, and it tore the whole track bar frame piece out of the unibody. So the whole unibody on that side is pretty much just cracked, and the steering box is almost free floating at that time.
All right, so we just came down a pretty gnarly obstacle, and we ended up tearing the frame and the steering box off the frame. See right here, the whole unibody has been torn, twisted, and mangled.
We ended up using a winch to pull it all back together, and it seemed to work for quite a while. Got us into the next section of trails.
Oh! Tyler, you gotta keep the slack out of the road.
I think we were coming down Wrecking Ball, coming off this ledge going around this other Jeep, and when we hit the bottom, I heard something hiss. Ended up being a hole big enough you could stick your hand through the side of the tire.
That's when it was over for us, I think. We were going along, we were trying to limp it through, but it kept getting pegged on rocks. Just that flat tire, the rocks would come in, hold the tire down, and we were trying to push our way through, but that's kind of where things fell apart.
Here we are, doing a little recovery and trying to be the last team off the trail. We're the last team to start, last team to come back. Did something right.
When the recovery crew showed up, it was kind of a relief, but it is a moment of defeat. I really thought we was going to finish it this year. Everything was going really good until the tire. So I'm going to keep trying until we finish.
Now, we had the opportunity to have the KZ Tacoma out on the trail with us in its Phase 2 build. The build is not complete, but it got out on the trail with its BDS suspension, Fox shocks, and its BF Goodrich tires, as well as its nitro gears and the ARB lockers. We were able to take it out on the trail, be able to take our equipment, and it also seconded as the pit truck for KrawlTek Racing. It took tires, fuel, everything we needed out on the trail to the pits, and in the end of the day, saved us as we came off in the end of the evening. Now, if you'd like to see more about the KZ Tacoma build, as well as the other builds that we'll be doing this year, be sure to follow the build blog on the KrawlZone.tv website. Now that the race is over, I don't know how I feel. It was so surreal. It's hard to think that I actually did it, but now I'm like, yeah, I want to drive next time, and I want to get a young man to move the rocks. It was a thrill. It was a ball. I had a great time out here. Vic was awesome. The team was awesome. There is nothing better than saying I competed in the Everyman Challenge and I took on the Hammers. Thank you for joining us for another adrenaline-filled episode of KrawlZone. Now, this is Mr. KrawlZone reminding you, don't just live life, live epic.